Well, we're going to talk health right now, and our favorite doctor, our favorite Ghana doctor,
It's our favorite
the
Ghana
nation's favorite doctor, Dr. Calvin Owusu, has joined us in the studio, and we're going to be talking this morning about postpartum depression. It's going to help us to understand what it is, where it comes from, and what we can do about it. Dr. Calvin, good morning.
Good morning, David.
How are you?
Very well, very well.
It's good to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see you.
It's good.
With all the
your usual suaves.
and then he shuddered as usual. Shuddered as usual. But you need to be very careful about how we phrase this favorite doctor thing, because Dr. Calvin's wife,
is also a doctor.
whom I also love and in whom I am well pleased, is also a doctor.
Yes.
Good morning, Annie. My younger sister, Kylie, is a doctor. And
okay,
Dr.
so you are not allowed to say favorite doctor.
And Dr.
Okay.
Calvin's junior in school, who is one of my best friends, Cameron, is also a doctor. I need to be very careful.
Okay.
Well, I'm the fairy for this moment.
For this moment.
Yes.
But good to have you.
Good to be here. Good to be
And
here.
this morning we're talking about postpartum depression. I'm happy that, over the last, let's say 2 years, since COVID came and just swallowed all of us and threw us here and there, we're talking a lot more about the psychological aspect of our health, our mental health.
Yeah.
Now, postpartum depression, I remember before I became a mother and, years earlier, when a woman has given birth, you want her to be happy. When she's sad, you don't understand why she's sad. When she's gone into a funk, nobody gets it, And everybody just expects that because you've given birth, you should be excited about it and suck it up and be a woman and take care of the child because you've been blessed.
Yes.
But there's something called postpartum depression.
There is.
So let's start from there. What is it?
So, and you are right. COVID, when schools were out and everybody was now 24/7 with the kids, that's when you actually realized how much of a psychological burden that those little people can be, know. And so, yes, it's a good thing that we are talking about this more. And in fact, the more we are talking about it, the more people are coming out and seeking help. Because there is help. But let me start by saying there's help available. Okay. It's rather unfortunate that, like you said, our culture does not make room for women to actually express what they are actually going through. You see, because the whole pregnancy thing, you see, medically, pregnancy itself, we call it a physiological pathology. Because there's
a physiological pathology.
That's interesting. Okay, so explain that for those who are not so scientifically inclined.
You see, if you get an infection, basically you have a foreign material that has invaded your body. It is usually the protein that these foreign materials come in with that the body would detect and then generate or produce antibodies to fight against.
That's where your immune system
Yes,
goes
that's where the
into
immune system goes into action. Now, a baby that's growing in a woman, that baby is also a foreign material because it is neither the baby, it's neither the mother's DNA. No, it's not the mother's DNA. It's basically a whole new thing that has been created from an amalgamation of two different people coming together. So that baby is actually a foreigner, living inside your body. So basically, and that baby is now feeding off of you. So that baby is actually a parasite. You see, so why would you attack a malaria parasite and not attack, the developing fetus? Because they are basically the same thing. They are all feeding off of you. You see, but then there's that thing called the uterus, which has been specially formulated to prevent the mother's antibodies from attacking the baby's proteins. You see, so that's actually why we call it a physiological pathology. You see, so pregnancy is a very delicate time for any woman and for the men too, because we also go through some of the changes.
Well, yes.
You see, and so when a woman's body has gone through such significant change, and I'm not even talking about physically, I'm talking about internally, the biochemical changes, the hormones that have been released to cause the immune system to recognize the developing fetus. It's a lot of stress that the woman goes through, So when that woman has been in this situation for 9 good months, actually it's almost closer to 10 months, but for 9 months she has been through this hormones going up and down all over the place, the mood swings, the buy me cocoa from Pentagon at 12 a.m. All those things suddenly come to an end with delivery. It's amazing that we expect the woman to return to normal immediately. She's had 9 solid months of being bombarded with various biochemical changes, you know. And like I said, I'm not even talking about the physical changes. Right. I'm still on the internal changes that she has gone through, you know. It will take a while for the body to return back to the previous state where it was before. I'm talking about internally, you see. Now let's talk about the physical appearance as well. You know, all through this 9-month period, her body has gone through constant changes. Yeah. You know, the swelling feet, the waddling, you know, which I used to tease my wife about, you know. You know, it's a massive change suddenly, because when the baby comes out, it's a sudden. I mean, I'm a doctor, so I've actually witnessed the delivery, and you can actually see how suddenly the abdomen actually drops in when the baby comes out. You know, it's a significant change. The woman actually feels lighter when they get up. So the body has gone through significant change, and so in trying to return to normal, sometimes it doesn't go as planned or as supposed to be. And when I say sometimes, if I let me change that. It turns out that up to 80% of women actually go through some form of, you know, mood instability. Peripartum.
80%.
Yes, up to 80%. So when I say sometimes, it's actually more often than not. Okay. You know, so most women actually go through some form of mood instability at that point. You see, we've divided it into 2, which is the baby blues, you know, and then postpartum depression. Baby blues is supposed to be a milder form of, you know, depression, but it's a transient thing. Usually within the first 2 weeks it's gone, you know. But then there's the postpartum depression, which we are talking about today, which is a much more severe form of this baby blues. You know, that tends to last longer. And interestingly, if there's a delay in diagnosing, then it lasts much longer and causes even more complication. Okay. You know, which means that early detection and early intervention is actually key to limit to limit the long-lasting complication. Okay. So postpartum simply refers to the period post-delivery. You know, technically postpartum should last 6 weeks, but when we talk about postpartum depression, it can actually be diagnosed as late as 1 year after the baby has actually been born. Wow. So yes, it is that significant. And the symptoms are pretty much not that much different from depression as we know it. You know, so the person is sad, and there's a generalized sadness, there's hopelessness, there's, you know, dejection, there's a feeling of uselessness. You know, and in the extreme form, there's a feeling that I need to end my life because nothing is worthwhile. I mean, I don't amount to anything. You see. And to a lay person, it seems as if these are things that I can just snap out. If I'm feeling sad, why don't I just go and get some drink or eat some pork and watch some, you know, Netflix and get out of it, or eat chocolate as the ladies you know, love to do. You see, but it's if it were that easy, I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. You see, and the bigger issue is that because culturally, as Apiko said in the beginning, culturally we expect that, you know, and should I say religiously, we expect that the child is a gift from God. So if God has blessed you with a gift, how can you be sad? Yeah. You see, and I have this thing, this campaign, I call it, you know, where, you know, you ask the average Ghanaian, how are you? And the responses that they give you, it's, I don't know if we are trying to mask our actual issue.
We are managing.
we are managing now. I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you? I'm strong. I'm like, I'm fine. It's okay. Yeah. You know, or just tell me how you actually are, so we can actually know what to do.
The modern religiosity is making it worse because how are you? I'm graced.
Yeah.
I mean, really? Let's get off our high horses.
Grace has found me.
Yeah, grace has found me.
So me that the grace didn't find me. You see?
Hey, people,
you know,
this table that's
I'm going to shake it because I'm going to shake it because you see what we do is that we create bubbles of terrible things going on in people's lives. No, and people can't talk about it.
I agree, because you see, if a woman has delivered and everybody's happy around her, and I mean, you know, you gave birth to a human being, you know how they say. But nobody actually has asked that woman,
like, really?
How are you really feeling? What's going on with you? You see, and because we expect the woman to snap out of it and get back to doing whatever needs to be done, especially for those who gave birth naturally, and I put it in quotes because all birth is natural pretty much, you know, but those who gave birth.
Thank you for saying that.
I'll actually touch on this later, I hope I don't forget. You know, so especially those who gave birth per vaginum, they are expected to return to work or return to whatever they were doing.
So in layman's terms or laywoman's terms, the person who pushed.
Yes, who pushed out the baby. Right. You know, there's even far more pressure on those ladies to actually return to normalcy faster. We tend to give the cesarean section people some slack a bit, but notwithstanding, it is important that you actually spend time and find out from your partner, if you're a man, and the men are also at fault sometimes because, again, we expect them, you have 2 other children, you've done this before, so why suddenly this one, doing all sorts of things, why are you so tired, why are you sad, why are you not changing the baby's diaper, and these are some of the symptoms, why are you not changing the baby's diaper, why are you not doing your hair, It's a complicated situation for the woman, you see, and it's because of the withdrawal of some of the hormones, the sudden withdrawal of the hormones.
Yeah.
You see, because once you remove the placenta is actually supplying a significant amount of the biochemical changes.
Yeah.
So once you remove the placenta, a lot of the things suddenly drop. And that drop can, cause a lot of problems for the woman. And also the physical changes that she has been through, intimate part me and I used to wear I used to be a size 6. Now I'm having to do it's a major challenge. And I did mention the cesarean section. Again, it comes back, and there's a heavy cultural, religious, socio-cultural angle to this whole discussion. You see, because I have dealt with women who felt less of a woman because they had to go through cesarean section.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what we do to women. I didn't know how big a problem I knew was a problem, but until I was pregnant with my son, and I would go to the hospital, go for antenatal, and I would meet other women that I knew either from afar or from different circles. And 3 out of 5 times, they would say to me, hey, make sure you push. Don't let them force you to do a C-section. That's the narrative.
Wow.
And I'm talking about 31 weeks when my baby was still in breech position, so feet facing down. And that is not what it's supposed to be. So doc will tell you at that point, you are advised that if the baby does not turn, you will have to do a C-section.
Especially if it's a first delivery.
Yeah. And then don't force this place there. I won't mention also I go to. I mean, I love it. Brilliant hospital. No, this place they'll force you to do C-section right now. Don't mind them. No. Make sure you push. Yes. And these are young women. I'm not even talking about elderly women.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because there's glory with pushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if such a person with this mindset is forced to go through cesarean, suddenly she feels less of a woman. So now, there's that lack of connection between the woman and the baby, so taking care of that baby becomes a major challenge. It's a major challenge that needs to be overcome. Sometimes they're able to overcome it by themselves. Some people never overcome it, and there's always that sort of curtain between the mother and that particular child, or the mother and the father, because it's your fault I had to go through the cesarean, you see. And then there's also the other group of women who go through this depressive phase because the pregnancy itself was complicated, or there's a problem with the baby, you see. And so any deviation from what is expected to be normal can trigger this postpartum depression. Yeah. Now, of course, there's also an advantage to our culture. Let's not just look on the bad side, because one of the biggest advantages, unfortunately, we are actually losing that advantage, is the support. When I was born, I was born in my mother's first year university. So yes, she was in university when I was born. So I'm an academic baby, you see. And so she went home. My aunties were there. I mean, there were like 6 different people in the house, so there was support, in terms of if I'm crying, she didn't need to get up and go and attend to me. My grandmother was a midwife.
Then you had no choice but to be well.
Yeah. So there was a lot of social support. But now as we are urbanizing, we are losing that, such that now most typical example of situation that most of us find ourselves in is that at the time when we are giving birth, our parents are still actively working. Yeah. So is your grandmother or your grandfather going to leave their jobs to come and sit by you? Is your sister going to leave their job, come and sit by you? So we are losing that. So a lot of the social support or social structure is gradually breaking down, which means that the mother is expected to do a lot more today than 30 years ago. You see, and that is a problem. It's one of the key predisposing factors to development of postpartum depression, a lack of social support. And if your partner does not recognize this, and it's also giving you a lot of pressure, and if the social setup does not also factor in the paternity leave, or that even if, because I know some companies in Ghana do actually give paternity leave, but then the men take the leave and go and do other things. You see, so we really need to, yes, it's happening. There are institutions in Ghana that actually give paternity leave, but whether the men actually,
use it,
paternate,
yeah, exactly.
it's a whole other discussion. You see, so it's a discussion that we really need to have extensively, so that everybody realizes that we all have a role to play. The woman, yes, has a role to play, but the woman is going through a phase that is not allowing her to function. You see, depression is a very, very abstract concept for a lot of us to understand. Even in the medical circles, it's still not as easily. It's not something that we can easily identify.
Yeah.
Yes, you see, because if you are sad, I mean, kick yourself up, do something with your life. What do you mean by you are sad, so you can't do anything?
It's almost as if you can self-motivate and get out of it, out of depression.
Exactly.
But depression is not necessarily sadness on its own.
No.
It's quite different.
Yes, I mean, it's a whole biochemical thing going on in the brain that is probably, causing what. I mean, we cannot pinpoint what the cause of depression necessarily is, but there are associations that we have come to realize, and there is treatment available.
Yes.
So if somebody is able to recognize that this is going on, then that person can help or give help, offer help to the woman. It's very, very important, because women have actually committed suicide as a result, as a consequence of this postpartum depression.
Wow.
So it is a big deal, very, very big deal.
Okay.
So, Doc, where can people find help? If you are a woman who feels as though you're going through postpartum depression, or you live with someone, or you have access to someone who you think may be going through it, how can people find help?
Well, thankfully, currently, almost all the major hospitals have psychological units attached to it. So the first point of call would be to, if it's within the maternity postpartum period, go back to your midwife or your obstetrician. Report to him or her, let him be aware what's going on, and then they would put in necessary steps to help you to get. They can initiate the help and then get the psychologist. Sometimes they may have to invite the psychiatrist. I know sometimes when we hear psychiatry, we think it's about insane people, but that's not what psychiatry is. Maybe they have to change the name. They do a lot more than that, and a lot of women have actually had significant breakthrough with just one encounter, And so help is available. Even in Ghana, in spite of our challenges, there is help available.
How do people get in touch with you?
I'm active on social media, Kelvin Owusu MD. You can just reach out to me, and I can also offer some help within reason.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kelvin. So Dr. Kelvin Owusu is the head of occupational health and wellness at the Clarion Health International. And it's been great speaking to him this morning about something that we don't talk about much. I'm glad we've been able to delve into it.
Yeah.
Now, let's go for a break. And when we come back, the two Imas,
the two Kwames.
the two Kwames, they will be here, and we get into some entertainment conversations.